So lastly, for Chapter 4, I want to walk you through an amortization table. Here in the example with the PowerPoint, they ask us to construct an amortization schedule for $1,000, 10% annual rate loan with 3 equal payments. And this is great for us to know how to do if you ever want to figure out what a car payment might be or a house payment. This will give you a good idea of how to do it on your own. You don't have to ask the lender to do it for you. So you see in the PowerPoint, they show you the example, and it looks great, right? The numbers are already there for you, but it's not quite that simple to put it together from the textbook. So I'll show you how to do that. So we're going to come back over here and switch over here. So the main thing is setting it up correctly. Once you do that, Excel's going to do the work for you. So the example given, we know the beginning balance is going to be $1,000. That's how much the loan is. The other thing we want to put in here is we want to put in the next thing we have to figure out, is the payment. So to figure out the payment, there's a formula for that. So equal PMT tab. We're going to put in the rate. Again, it's 0.10. Number of years, it's 3. And the present value is negative 1,000. Okay. And that's going to give us the payment. So 402.11 is our payment. And we know that's going to be our payment each year. So we're going to do that. Then I'm going to do Control C and Control V to paste down the actual values for all 3 years. Okay. So next thing we need to figure out, we already know the beginning balance. Next thing we need to figure out is the interest rate. What is our interest rate? And we see here it's 10% on this loan. So here I'm going to put, what is the interest in year 1? So simply I'm going to take the beginning balance, or the principal balance, times 10%, or you can take it times 0.10 if it's easier, and that's going to tell me the interest. My principal then that I'm paying is going to simply be the payment minus the interest. And now my new balance at the end of year 1 is going to simply be my beginning balance minus my principal. Alright, so that sets up year 1. Now the next thing I need to do is get the beginning balance of year 2, which is simply going to be the beginning balance, it's going to simply be the ending balance over here. Alright, so we can actually drag that formula down. Right now it's going to show us a 0, but once we complete this one, it'll fill it in for us. So I don't have to redo all this work. I've already got the formulas in here. I just simply need to highlight those 3 cells and drag them down. And we can see pretty simply that it does the work for us. So let's move some, make them a number, and move those over a bit. And there's our amortization schedule. So very simple. Again, the key is setting it up correctly. Once you do that, it's just dragging the formulas down. So very simply, I've got my balance. I figured out my payment over here with this formula. The interest is simple. It's just taking the balance times the interest rate. Principal is just a subtraction problem. And then the ending balance, same thing, a subtraction problem. And having those formulas in place versus doing it in a calculator, if you had a 10-year schedule or you had a 30-year schedule, it's a lot quicker to do this, drag it all the way down, versus doing the math on a calculator 20 times. So pretty simple. I hope that'll help you with that piece of the work. So as we think about it, interest declines because the outstanding balance declines. That makes sense. So each year, right, this interest amount is going to become less, the principal amount is going to become more, and it's going to start paying that balance off quicker as you go throughout. So these tables are widely used for home mortgages, auto loans, business loans, etc. Financial calculators are great to use, but I love spreadsheets on this. You can see it, you can visualize it, you can adjust it. So those are great tools to use. All right. So lastly, we're going to get into fractional time periods. So on January 1st, you deposit $100 in an account that pays a nominal interest rate of 11.33 with daily compounding. how much will you have on October 1st after 9 months or 9 days? Okay, so how would we figure that out? All right, so let's go over here to Excel and we'll see how I did that. Back to my first sheet. Fractional time period. Here's the example. It's simply doing a future value using the actual time period. So we know, given the example, that the interest rate's 11.33, but it's daily compounding. So I'm going to divide that percentage rate by this 365 days. All right, so that's going to give me my new daily interest rate. All right, that's the first thing I need to do. Once I have that, it's pretty easy from there. So they said, hey, how much will you have in 9 months or 273 days? Okay. So I'm going to come in here and say, here's my new rate. I need to know after 273 days. I don't have a present value. Excuse me, I don't have a payment, but I have a present value of $100. And it's going to give me the answer of 108.85. Okay. So very simple. It sounds like a hard problem, but the key is getting that daily interest rate. Once you get that and you know the time frame, if it would have said how what would it be worth in 6 months, you would have just divided that interest rate by 6, and then you had taken this to those number of months, right? So pretty simple way to calculate out these fractional time periods. So that's the end of chapter 4. It's a lot of information, a lot of formulas, so I wanted to take some extra time, show you how to do it in Excel. If you have questions on it, feel free to reach out. I'll be glad to walk you through it. But it should be a good chapter. This is some really meaty stuff that can be used in both the business world and in your personal life. So I hope you find it very useful and interesting. Have a great rest of the day.